Welcome to the Platform Engineering Playbook podcast, where everything you hear is built, reviewed, and improved by AI, by me, and by you, the listener. This show keeps me, and hopefully you, up to speed on the latest in platform engineering, SRE, DevOps, and production engineering. It's a living experiment in how AI can help us track, explain, and discuss the fast-moving world of infrastructure. Every episode is open source. If you've got something to add, correct, or challenge, head to platform-engineering-playbook.com. You'll find all the content and a link to the GitHub repo. Open a pull request, join the conversation, and make the playbook smarter. Let's get into it.
Today, we're diving into the FinOps AI paradox. Your company spent $500,000 on AI-powered FinOps tools this year. AWS Cost Optimization Hub, Google FinOps Hub, third-party platforms. The AI identified $3 million in potential annual savings across 847 instances. 90 days later, you've implemented 180,000 of it. 6%. What happened? Yeah, and that 6% number is actually generous. Most organizations see zero actual cost reduction, despite having these sophisticated AI tools that work incredibly well. Wait, so the technology works? Oh, it absolutely works. The AI is genuinely impressive. 95% accuracy on anomaly detection, flags cost spikes within 3 minutes, generates right-sizing recommendations where 70 to 85% are actually actionable. This isn't vaporware. Then why are we still seeing 27% cloud waste across the industry? Why are organizations still exceeding their cloud budgets by 17%? That's the paradox we're going to unpack. Throughout 2025, all three major cloud providers released AI-powered FinOps tools. AWS has Cost Optimization Hub, free ML-powered recommendations across 18-plus optimization types. Google has FinOps Hub with focus billing support and active assist automation. Azure has Advisor plus cost management with AI recommendations. And companies adopted these tools. I'm seeing over half of enterprises have deployed at least one AI-powered FinOps platform. Exactly. But here's the kicker. Only 31% report measurable cost reduction from the automation. That's a massive adoption-to-value gap. So we have a situation where the AI correctly identifies savings, companies know they're wasting money, and yet nothing changes. This sounds like a classic implementation problem disguised as a technology problem. Bingo. Let me walk you through a real example. A SaaS company with 340 AWS accounts, $4.2 million in annual cloud spend. AWS Cost Optimization Hub analyzes 18 months of their EC2 usage. It recommends shifting from $340,000 a year in on-demand costs to a mix of 1-year savings plans and 3-year reserved instances. Total new cost? $140,000 a year. That's a $200,000 annual saving. Mathematically perfect recommendation. And it gets better. 93% confidence score. The AI generated this analysis in 12 minutes. Not 12 hours, not 12 days, 12 minutes. Okay, so what's the catch? Implementation took 7 weeks. Required CFO approval for the upfront reserved instance commitment. Engineering had to sign off that instance families wouldn't change. Product team had to confirm usage patterns would continue. By the time they got through all that, the original analysis was stale, and they had to regenerate it. So the AI did its job in 12 minutes, and human organizational dynamics added 7 weeks. And that's at a well-functioning company. Most organizations can't even get that far because of what AI fundamentally cannot automate. Let's talk about business context decisions. Give me an example. AI sees a Kubernetes cluster in US East 1 with 40% average CPU utilization. It recommends downsizing nodes from M5.2x large to M5x large. Projected savings, $4,800 a year. Sounds great, right?
Until you tell me what I'm missing. That cluster handles Black Friday traffic. Last year's spike hit 95% CPU for 14 hours straight. If you downsize based on average utilization, you save $4,800 a year, but you risk $2 million in lost sales during your biggest shopping day. The AI can't know that Black Friday is your critical revenue event. Exactly. Or here's another one. AI identifies a Lambda function running 47 million invocations per month at $18,200. It recommends migrating to Fargate for $4,300 a month. That's $13,900 in monthly savings. That's a huge win, $167,000 a year. Except the Lambda function is triggered by API Gateway with a 3-second timeout requirement. Fargate has an 8 to 12-second cold start. The migration would require a complete API redesign, 6 weeks of engineering time, and revalidation of all integration tests. The opportunity cost of delaying feature work for 6 weeks exceeds a year of Lambda overspend. So the AI is technically correct but strategically wrong because it doesn't understand the broader system. Right. And then there's stakeholder negotiation. AI identifies $340,000 a year wasted on oversized development environments that could run on 40% of current capacity. But implementing that requires engineering director approval. He's worried dev experience might degrade. VP of product has to sign off. She's concerned slower dev environments means slower feature delivery. Security needs to validate it doesn't affect compliance posture. Finance wants to know who owns the savings in the chargeback model. And the AI can't send the Slack messages, can't join the meetings, can't build the business case that makes your VP of product care about infrastructure costs. You got it. This is where FinOps teams spend their time, not finding the waste, the AI does that in minutes, but navigating the organizational dynamics to actually implement the fixes. Okay, so walk me through the traditional FinOps workflow and how AI changes it. Traditional. FinOps team identifies $200,000 a year in potential savings, takes 2 to 3 days of analysis. They create tickets for engineering teams. That's 1 day. Then they wait for engineers to prioritize cost work over feature work. That's 2 to 8 weeks. Engineers push back. Always. But we might need that capacity for the holiday spike. What if traffic patterns change? 1 week of meetings to resolve concerns. Meanwhile, leadership is asking daily why costs are still high. By the time you implement 1 round of optimizations, your infrastructure has evolved and new waste has accumulated. So you're on a treadmill. Exactly. Now here's how AI changes that equation. The AI identifies $500,000 in annual savings in 3 minutes instead of 3 days. The question becomes, why are we taking 8 weeks to implement obvious optimizations? AI doesn't eliminate the implementation bottleneck, it makes it glaringly visible. That's fascinating. Better technology actually exposes organizational dysfunction more clearly. And the data backs this up. Organizations report identifying savings opportunities, but 68% never implement them. Not because the recommendations are bad, but because of organizational dynamics. FinOps teams lack authority to shut down resources, engineering teams prioritize features, product teams don't have cloud cost in their OKRs, finance tracks budgets, but can't enforce technical changes.
So, coming back to our opening paradox, the $500,000 investment with 6% implementation. The technology works, the organization doesn't. That's the hard truth. Better AI recommendations don't solve organizational dysfunction, they just make it more obvious. All right, so what actually does work? What are the 6% doing differently? 3 things in common. First, executive sponsorship. Cost optimization isn't just the FinOps team's responsibility, it's in engineering OKRs. Engineers are measured on both feature velocity and cost efficiency. So it's not a side project, it's part of the job. Exactly. Second, cross-functional accountability. Engineering teams own their cloud costs, with FinOps as advisors, not enforcers. FinOps provides the data and recommendations, but engineers make the decisions and implement the changes. That's a significant cultural shift for most organizations. It is. And third, automated enforcement where possible. Google Active Assist has an auto-apply mode for safe optimizations. Azure Policy can enforce cost controls automatically. You set budgets, tagging requirements, resource limits,
and the system enforces them without human intervention. So you're reducing the friction to implementation. Exactly. Now let's talk about when you should actually adopt these AI FinOps tools, because it's not a universal yes. When does it make sense? Multi-cloud with incompatible billing. That's the majority of enterprises. You're manually joining AWS, GCP, and Azure cost data every month. 12 hours of spreadsheet wrangling. Google FinOps Hub with Focus Billing solves that. Single query across all clouds. What's Focus? FinOps Open Cost and Usage Specification. It's a standardized billing format. Think of it as what JSON did for APIs, Focus does for cloud bills. Google has full support, AWS and Azure are catching up. Okay, so multi-cloud is a clear use case. What else? You're getting surprised by cost spikes weekly. Bills arrive 7 days after the spending happened. AWS Cost Anomaly Detection and GCP Cost Anomaly Detection are both free and catch spikes in minutes instead of days. If you're in the situation, turn them on today. That's low-hanging fruit. Third one, your FinOps team spends more than 50% of their time on reporting, manual dashboard updates, executive slide decks. Azure Cost Management with Power BI or Google FinOps Hub with Looker Studio automates that. Frees up 20 hours a month for strategic work. When shouldn't you adopt these tools? If you don't have baseline FinOps practices, no cost allocation tags, no budget alerts, no monthly review process, AI needs clean data and clear ownership. Fix your foundations first. What about if your problem is architectural? Good call. If 80% of your cost is in one or two services, data transfer, a massive database, storage, right-sizing VMs won't fix that. You need an architecture review, not AI tools. Fundamental design decisions, not operational tweaks. And if you lack authority to implement changes? Don't waste money on better recommendation engines. Build FinOps culture first. Get executive sponsorship. Establish a cost ownership model. Better recommendations won't help if you can't get engineering buy-in. So give me a 90-day playbook. Our listeners want to know what to do starting Monday. Days 1 to 30. Audit current tool usage and measure the cost of context switching. Show leadership the math. For a 200-person engineering team, that's $10 million a year in waste at current industry averages. That gets attention. Days 31 to 60. Run a proof of concept with free tools. AWS Cost Optimization Hub for FinOps. Validate with one team. Measure actual impact. Dollars saved, hours spent, team satisfaction. And days 61 to 90? Roll out to 20% of your organization. Build the repeatable process. Document what works, what requires heavy coordination. Present results to leadership with specific next steps and resource requirements. What can someone do Monday morning? 4 things. 1. Enable AWS Cost Anomaly Detection. 15 minutes, completely free. 2. Calculate your waste. 15 hours per week times $150 per hour times your team size. That's your annual waste number. Show me the money. 3. Pick one AI recommendation. Evaluate it with business context. If it's valid, create a ticket and assign it. 4. Build the business case for leadership. We're wasting 27% of our $2 million cloud spend. Here's the 90-day plan to capture half of it. So coming back to our opening question, how do you justify $500,000 on FinOps tools when you're only implementing 6% of recommendations? You don't justify the tools, you fix the organization. The 6% who succeed aren't using better AI. They have executive sponsorship, cross-functional accountability, and automated enforcement. The technology is a force multiplier, but only if your organization can actually execute. The fundamentals remain constant. Technology doesn't solve organizational dysfunction. You need the culture, the authority, and the processes first. Then AI tools amplify what's already working. And that's the real lesson here. FinOps AI tools are genuinely impressive. They work as advertised. But if your organization can't implement a $200,000 savings recommendation identified by a human analyst, buying an AI that identifies it faster won't help. Fix the organization, then add the automation.
That's it for this episode of the Platform Engineering Playbook podcast. Every topic, transcript, and summary you just heard lives out in the open at platform-engineering-playbook.com, where anyone can suggest updates or add insights through GitHub. If you've got thoughts, fixes, or new ideas, open a PR. And if you enjoyed the episode, rate us on your favorite podcast platform. We're always shooting for 5 stars. While you're there, give the project a star on GitHub. It helps others find and contribute to the Platform Engineering Playbook. This podcast is generated by AI, reviewed by AI, me and you, a community of engineers keeping our craft sharp. Thanks for listening, and see you next time inside the Platform Engineering Playbook.